All right, folks, I want to talk about the Connecticut school shooting, and I'm going to tell you right now that this is not at all like what they want you to believe. They're playing on your fears, and you need to look for the truth because they're not showing you the truth on everyday 9 o'clock news, okay? And I want to show you, and I will prove it to you, okay? Now, first right here, we've got the scanner for the police scanner on that day. All right, on that day of that shooting, and I want you to listen here because here we've got the police officer letting you know that the teacher saw two shooters run out from the building, from inside the building, and run around the back. All right, and then he also tells you that here they come at him and that he eventually gets one and has him down face first, and we've got video that shows that as well. But I want you to listen to this because this is not at all what they're saying, because while this is happening, Adam Lanza, who they say is the lone shooter, is dead inside. All right? This is not him. He's already dead. And I want you to listen very carefully. Now listen. See, he says I got him proned out. Now listen, they confirm it. Now see, there he says, be aware that we've got a second one. So he's got him proned out. He's got him on his face. And I'm going to show you the visual for that in just 1 second. And I want to take you over here to this part of the video where one of them gets away, okay? Now this is totally separate than the guy at the corner that they've got. And I'm going to show you that visual in just a second. But I want you to listen here to where he advises his fellow police officers that there's still one on the loose. All right, so listen very carefully. Now there he's telling his guys, be aware, be advised that there's another guy loose. He's got multiple weapons, okay? Long-range rifle and a long-range shotgun as this guy's got, and he's letting his other colleagues know it. Now, let's go to the visual part here, okay? Now, this is the guy that we just heard on the police scanner who was chasing the guy who come up his way, right? Now, I'm going to mute this audio because the audio is just junk. There is nobody actually talking. All right, so let's watch this here because here we've got the cops, right? They're running into the woods. They're chasing the guy into the woods who come past him. You're going to see him go up here, and this is all from a helicopter that's viewing them, okay? And this is at the very moment this is happening. This is right after the cops get there to secure the scene, and they're running up into the woods, chasing this guy in the woods. Now watch, because the helicopter's going to go around, and he's going to let you see them with the guy on his face in the woods, okay? Now, here we've got them. Here in this spot right here, and it's hard to see because they're all underneath this big tree right here. But right here you've got the cops, and you've got the dogs that they had, and you've got the guy on his face, right? Right here underneath this tree. And this helicopter is going to go around so you can see a little bit better. But you got a couple cops right here that we just seen run up into the woods. There goes the dog that run off right there, and there's the guy right there on his face. Okay? There was the second man that remember we heard on the scanner. They say that we confirm that we've got a second shooter. Okay, that's the video, or that's the visual for that. Then if you go over here, now here we've got the second guy that they caught on the corner of the school. Okay. Now I'm going to delete that. I'm going to mute that because it's just a interview of a parent. But we go from the staging area, and they're going to zoom in because right here is where they've got the second guy that they had in custody. Right here, and this is not the guy that they're advising that has the multiple weapons, but right there is the other guy that they had on his face and in the handcuffs. So there was a third guy that got loose. This guy was the guy who got into the red and the maroon van, who had the black window blown out by the cops. They were chasing him. They later found the maroon van and the guy in another town and got him and arrested him and put him into custody. But those 3 men have disappeared. Now, the one in the woods, they tried to tell you that he was just a bystander who was running off from the commotion because he got scared. That's not what they said in the very beginning. But now the other 2 that they had in custody have completely disappeared, and now they're trying to tell you that Adam Lanza done this all by himself, which I'm going to tell you I think is a complete and utter lie. I don't think that Adam Lanza even fired the weapon at all. I think he was nothing other than somebody that they brought along to pin this on, and that they killed him and left him in the schoolhouse. Because let me tell you something about Adam Lanza. Okay, Adam Lanza, first they did the mix-up of the names, and they first called him Ryan Lanza, which that's his older brother's name. Now, his older brother, he said that he had seen his brother, nor had he talked to his brother since 2010. But the reason why they had the mix-up was because Adam Lanza had his older brother Ryan's ID on him at the scene, and that's why they thought his name was Ryan. Now, you tell me, if the 2 brothers had not seen each other or spoke to each other since 2010, then how did Adam Lanza get his brother Ryan's ID and put it on him? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Now, here's another part, okay? When they first went in and first to the scene, they said that there was 3 weapons laying spread out in front of Adam Lanza, and that he had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Okay, how did he shoot himself if he only had 3 weapons, which was their first account? They only had 3 weapons. So what did he do? Did he, shoot himself and then lay the weapons out, or did he lay the weapons out and then shoot himself? Doesn't make any sense, because if he laid them out and then shot himself, then there would have had to have been a 4th weapon. That just doesn't work that way. When you kill yourself by a gunshot wound, you can't just then turn and lay the weapons out in front of you. Then they turned around and said that he only had the 2 9mm weapons, which was the Glock and the 6-Auger, and that the AR-15 that they were claiming first that he had took into the school and had used and was laying in front of him, now they're claiming that they found that in the trunk of his mother's car in the parking lot. Okay, let me tell you something else about Adam Lanza. Adam Lanza was autistic and had Asperger's syndrome. And they want you to believe that this young man, who his friends and his close people that he was close to when they first interviewed them, when this was first all happening, who were so distraught and could not believe that he would do such a thing, said that he had never touched a gun, he had never fired a gun, nor did he know anything about guns, that he was just a clumsy, nerdy kid, and that he would never ever do anything like this. Now, that was the first report, and then they changed it to where they said then they turned his mom into this big avid gun collector, that she was big on guns, and that's even the words that they used, and that she took her kids to the shooting range every Saturday. Well, her and her husband, okay, who's Peter Lanza, right, they've been divorced for a long time, so both of her children have not lived with her for at least 10 years is what the news reports are saying. That's how long that they've been divorced. So how could she go every Saturday with both of her kids to the shooting range? You see, the reports and their details don't match up. And here's the other part. Adam Lanza lived in Hoboken, New Jersey. So they want you to believe that this autistic and Asperger's syndrome young man, okay, that he first killed his mother, then stole her guns and stole her car and drove from Hoboken, New Jersey to Newtown, Connecticut to shoot up this school, because first they said that his mother was an employee of the school and that it was her kindergarten class that he targeted. But then later, with further investigation, you find out that his mother was really a retired teacher and that she had never worked at Sandy Hook Elementary School. You see how their details are changing? All right, now let's talk about the connection between Peter Lanza and a big banking scandal, which is called Lieber scandal, okay, which is also connected to, now get this, to Robert Holmes, who is the father of James Holmes, who did the shooting in Aurora, where there's still proof that there was more than one shooter there. Okay, now look, let me explain something to you about the Lieber case. Okay. The Lieber, because Lieber is used in the U.S. as in U.S. derivative markets, okay, as an attempt to manipulate. Lieber is an attempt to manipulate. Lieber is an attempt to manipulate U.S. derivative markets, and thus a violation of American law. Okay, since mortgages and student loans and financial derivatives and other financial products often rely on Lieber as a reference rate. Okay, the manipulation of submissions used to calculate those rates can have significant negative effects on consumers and financial markets worldwide. Okay, Now, Robert Holmes, who was the father of James Holmes, the one who they're saying was the lone shooter in Aurora, which is not true either by actual facts and eyewitness accounts, okay, says that Robert Holmes not only uncovered the true intent of the massive Lieber banking fraud, but his predictive algorithm model also traced the trillions of hidden dollars to the exact bank accounts of the elite classes who stole it. In other words, Robert Holmes could name names of those who stole that money. Right? And those names would awaken the world to the depth of government and corporate corruption, which could include members of Congress, Wall Street, the Federal Reserve, and EU executives, and could even include U.S. presidential candidates and the British royal family. Okay? One source describes the Lieber scandal as follows. The Lieber scandal is a series of fraudulent actions connected to the Lieber, which is London Interbank offered rate. And they're the ones who gives the rates for loans and things. And it says, and the resulting investigation and reaction, the Lieber is an average interest rate calculator through submissions of interest rates by major banks in London. Lieber underpins approximately 350 trillion in derivatives. It is controlled by the British Bankers Association. All right. Now, we also have other parts here to where, the points to where that there was proof that there was at least one other shooter there at the theater in Aurora, okay, because there was a bloody footprints trail that went past Holmes' car, okay, and a second gas mask was found there, which was discarded where the footprints ended, which were not James Holmes' footprints, right? Along with some other points to where it shows that James Holmes was not the only one there at that theater doing those shots. Now, what does that have to do with this, okay? What it has to do with this is that Robert Holmes, the father of James Holmes, and Peter Lanza, the father of Adam Lanza, both of these men are scheduled and were scheduled to testify at the Lieber trial, which started at the end of October. And I'm not kidding. I mean, they were scheduled. They were both scheduled to work to testify and to testify against these people, because Peter Lanza excuse me, is the VIP and tax director of GE, who paid zero taxes on $14.2 billion in profits last year. Okay, and Peter Lanza also works for Ernst & Young. Now, Ryan Lanza, his oldest son, also worked for Ernst & Young for 4 years. All right. Now, the FICO website has Robert Holmes listed as a fraud scientist. Okay, and remember, he's the father of James Holmes, who is the one that they say it was the lone shooter of the Aurora Theater. But now I'm going to tell you, they have traces. They did a blood test on James Holmes, and they had traces of scopolamine, which can make a person highly susceptible to suggestion. All right, so we've got that chemical mind control parts, and there was also the chemical mind control elements that was found and linked to the Geraldine Loeffner case, who shot the congresswoman. Remember that he opened fire in the grocery store parking lot? There's the same chemical is found linked to Geraldine Loeffner. Now let's talk about the schoolhouse again there, okay? Because at that schoolhouse they had just put in a brand new security system. Just this week, they put in that brand new security system. First reports were that they buzzed him in, right? Then they changed it and said that there was multiple shooters who were shooting inside the schoolhouse, and that's what busted the windows. But if you looked at the schoolhouse, they didn't have, the front of it wasn't all glass windows. They changed it. Then it went from that there was just a glass window that was busted open, which now has called them to cause for greater glasses and greater glass to put into the schoolhouses. So now I want to show you something else, because there's several reasons why this is happening. But we also have it that happened the other night, right, in California. You had more than 50 shots fired at a fashion mall. Then you had the same thing happened again in Chicago, where 10 were shot, including 4 teens, Friday afternoon in Chicago, where somebody was standing on the street corner and just started opening up fire. See, they're playing on your fear to get their purpose, which is gun bans. Okay, they want to take away your guns. Here we've got Bloomberg calling for it. Then you've got the Connecticut governor calling for it, and then you've got Dianne Feinstein. Okay, she's going to Congress on the first day of Congress to call for it. And then you've also got a Democrat who's saying that Obama needs to exploit the Newtown, Connecticut tragedy and nudge Congress to action. All right, folks, bottom line is that they've intimidated 2 witnesses against this big banking scandal, and they're also playing on your fears to disarm you. How can they invade and take over and control the people unless they disarm the people? You got to understand that if you believe that Bible prophecy is happening and that the end of days is coming, then you also have to believe that the Antichrist is set up too. Got to be watching.